Okay, the responsive reading.
What's the number?
The number is
648.
648.
Thank you.
But we have only begun to love the earth. We have only begun to imagine the fullness of life.
How can we tire of hope? So much is in bud.
How can desire fail? We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy.
Only begun to envision how I need to live
Surely our river cannot already be hastening into the sea of non-being.
Surely it cannot drag itself all the distance.
Not yet, not yet. There is too much broken that must be mended.
Too much hurt can be done to each other that cannot yet be forgiven.
We have only begun to know the power that is in us if we would join our solitudes in the communion of struggle.
So much is unfolding that must complete this gesture. So much is in bud.
So let's talk a little bit about dirt, which seems to have a bad reputation. There are a number of words we use besides dirt to describe basically the same thing. Earth, land, ground, soil, dust. I'm going to talk about each of these. Earth. We sometimes talk about Mother Earth or Grandmother Earth. Some have turned her into a goddess and named her Gaia. We live on planet Earth, even though 3/4 of our planet is covered by water. Our cetacean mammal friends used to live on the land and returned to the sea millions of years ago. If they had any say about it, they'd probably call it planet ocean or planet water. Land. We can land a contract or an agreement. We have convinced ourselves that we can own land. If I disembark from a ship, I find myself on land. Chief Seattle said, quote, "The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. One thing we know, which the white man may one day discover, our God is the same God. You may think now that you own him as you wish to own our land, but you cannot." Unquote. Next is ground. Farmers in Iowa don't talk about owning land, they talk about owning ground. In my therapy world, we often focus on helping clients get grounded. We don't suggest they get dirty. I will often teach them specific breathing techniques to help them do this. Sometimes I will suggest that they go outside, take off their shoes, and walk barefoot. In a few weeks, many of us will be digging in the ground, planting flowers and vegetables. Many will do so right outside these doors. There is evidence that children are more prone to disease and allergies these days because they tend to stay inside and are less likely to go outside and play in the dirt, make mud pies and so forth. Soil. Soil can have a negative connotation when we talk about getting soiled, which often refers to excrement. On the other hand, it can have a positive connotation when we talk about the importance of topsoil. Topsoil is teeming with life. I have a little container of soil for my yard, my garden. This small container has at least 50,000 different species of microorganisms. In one tablespoon of topsoil, there are more microorganisms than there are humans on the planet. Besides all these microorganisms, soil has earthworms that aerate it. As a result, soil contains ample amounts of air and water. When plants grow in the soil, through photosynthesis, they create carbon. They turn carbon dioxide into carbon. They break down the carbon dioxide. The ocean is the best at storing carbon. Soil is the second best. It stores 3 times the amount stored by all plants, including trees. Unfortunately, it takes hundreds of years to create 1 inch of topsoil, and topsoil is being washed away 50 to 100 times faster than it can be recreated. Plants share carbon with the many species of fungi also living in the soil. In turn, the fungi, who are experts at absorbing chemicals that plants need, such as nitrogen and phosphorus, hand those chemicals over to the plants. Dirt. So this leaves us with the word dirt. It's not a compliment to be called dirty. Nobody wants to be dirt poor. Clearly, it is better to be broke, even though the word broke suggests being broken, and no one thinks being broken is a good thing. Have you ever heard someone call another person a rotten scoundrel? How about a dirty, rotten scoundrel? So dirty is an adjective is used to make other negative descriptors even worse. We'll make an exception for the movie of the same name with Michael Caine and Steve Martin. Anybody remembers the dirty, rotten scoundrels? And people don't like to show others their dirty laundry. Because the word dirt has both positive and negative connotations, I aim to keep using it. In fact, I asked you to bring a small sample of dirt from your homes or from places you love. I have also included a small jar of dirt from our gardens outside. Actually, it's a little plastic container. Let's talk a little bit about place and its connection to dirt. When I was in Australia in 1999, I learned that the Aboriginal people had a powerful sense of place. They are tribal people, and each tribe takes responsibility for a particular area of land. They are the caretakers of that piece of land. Each tribe has a special animal, and it is their responsibility to protect that particular animal. They are not allowed to kill it, even if it is a good source of food. Nearby tribal members of other tribes, are allowed to kill that animal. But they must protect the one that they have been designated to protect. One of the worst things the colonists from the UK and elsewhere did in Australia was disrupt that land-based system, with a devastating result to their ecosystem. Of course, the same thing happened in North America, as the British and others came and disrupted this tribal system that was here then forced many tribal members to move from one place to another. In a few minutes, I'll invite you to bring your dirt samples up here and pour them into this jar, which is placed on the altar. If you are so inclined, please use the microphone and share something about the importance of place for you and ways to which you respect the place represented by the dirt you bring today. The dirt from so many places will connect together as we all connect with each other emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually each Sunday. I want to acknowledge Pablo, who suggested this particular ritual. Afterward, we will have our chocolate communion. There's a scene in Harry Potter. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Harry Potter story. There's a scene where Dementors step aboard the Hogwarts Express train. These creatures are portrayed as pure evil. They literally have the ability to suck out the soul of a human. When Professor Lupin, a werewolf by the way, succeeds on kicking the Dementors off the train, he turns to the young wizards to be the students of Hogwarts and offered them chocolate, saying, "It will help." When I first encountered this scene, I assumed that the chocolate he offered was a special form of chocolate with magical properties, as there are many magical substances in the Harry Potter universe. However, I eventually understood it was just regular chocolate. Whenever we suffer a traumatic event, chocolate may in fact help. And I want to acknowledge our indigenous brothers and sisters who, without them, we wouldn't have chocolate. These last few years have been traumatic for all of us, including the pandemic and the relentless assault on women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and intellectual rights. Easter is a time to celebrate hope. Spring has sprung. Perhaps a little chocolate will help. So at this point, I'm going to start the process of the dirt. I'm going to turn off my little thing here.